What is going on, everyone? Mr. Mom Collectibles. I am back, and I am here to present a video I was having so much fun filming and putting together. Is the comparison of the 1989 Batmobile from Hot Toys and Jazzinc. Now, I made it very clear a long time ago that I had, was going to get both cars. I'm going to have a different display, a Batman 89 and a Batman Returns set up downstairs when I relocate. And so there was always the intention, and so I wanted to film this. I know there are many out there that may feel a comparison is not needed. That is open to your interpretation. There are a lot of camps that are on one side or the other, so therefore a lot of them feel like there is no comparison needed. But the fact is, we do it all the time with things, Hot Toys, in art, anything like that. So whenever two companies are going to make a similar product, it is just natural behavior to compare them. So that's what this is. Now, I'm going to go over some of the major elements that I notice with the vehicles. There's quite a bit of differences between them. And I'm not, obviously, price, size, elements like that. But I want to kind of more or less speak about the things that really stand out to you when you see the vehicles. There's a couple things that are very eye-catching, that are just elements that they just catch your eye instantly. As I said, the Jazzinc is really a ground-up, different design than the Hot Toys one. The Hot Toys is mass-produced, so therefore it is going to be a little more simplistic, and Jazzinc is more, I don't know, custom's a word, but a limited run. So therefore, there's more attention to detail on items, things that you may never even see on a daily basis. So I did a comparison of the vehicles in my kitchen, outside in natural light, and at night to look at all of the electronics. So it took me a little while to put this all together. But I do want to touch on one thing that I think is very important, is what I said before about how there's kind of like these camps, like Team Hot Toys, Team Jazzinc, or Team In Art. And it's really it kind of sucks, because I know a lot of content creators and people online and streams and things, a lot of this is based on reactions. When products come out, we do reaction videos, we do streams about them. But ultimately, we don't always own these products. We're just speaking on what we see online. And so it's very easy to formulate opinions and believe in them without actually owning the products. And what I mean by that is, I know when the Hot Toys and the Jazzincs were first were announced, people really harped on the accuracies of how bad the Hot Toys was underscaled and everything like that, so on and so on. And I got to be honest, when I opened up the Hot Toys Batmobile, I wasn't breaking out the measuring tape. That wasn't the first thing I thought of. I was so excited to have a Hot Toys, or rather just a Batmobile in my collection, because I got that first before Jazzinc. And then when I got the Jazzinc one, it's like, okay, that Hot Toys Batmobile looks fantastic. How could it be improved any better? Jazzinc figured out a way to make it better. And you're ultimately not going to really fully appreciate either one of these vehicles unless they're in your possession, or you come over a friend's house and you see them. That is just what the reality is. And so that has kind of changed my perspective a little bit in terms of how I'm going to be viewing certain products when doing reaction videos and stuff, because getting them in hand is totally different than seeing them on a computer screen. The next thing I want to talk about is the price point. Obviously, the Hot Toys vehicle retailed for around $715 before tax and shipping, and the Jazzinc vehicle comes in at $1,500 before any type of shipping. And people feel like because of the price points, that's enough to not compare the vehicles, which I don't think that's true, because people can charge whatever they want. Just because something is more expensive doesn't mean that it's necessarily better. Okay, so just because one vehicle costs more doesn't make it the best vehicle. I think it's very subjective, up to the collector. For me, I love this franchise so much that I'm very grateful that we have companies that are willing to still produce high-end quality products for this franchise. Realistically, 89 Batman gets shadowed by The Dark Knight and all this newer stuff. So the fact that these, Hot Toys and Jazzinc are still giving us these products as collectors, I am so incredibly grateful for. To have the opportunity to have these two vehicles on my kitchen table, I am, as a collector, very grateful for these, that I have the opportunity to buy them, that someone is taking the time to build one from the ground up, and even if the Hot Toys one is just reproduced and, you know, a copy and paste, I still had the opportunity of purchasing these at a retail price versus a inflated price. So that is something that is definitely lost, I think, also, is that, you know, as collectors, the fact that these are available for us, if you are on a budget but you want the representation of this vehicle in your collection, there's Hot Toys. If you are a collector that has a vice, that your addiction is a certain IP, like for me, it's 89 Batman, I have to have everything related to 89 Batman, then that's where Jazzinc is available for you. So there's differences there. And I'm not trying to categorize the collector by typecasting anybody, but if you are able to sacrifice multiple pre-orders, then the Jazzinc one is obtainable. If you're not willing to make that sacrifice, then the Hot Toys one is probably best for you. I had to sacrifice about 5 to 6 pre-orders, and what I mean by pre-orders, not canceling, just figures I have to get them at a later point because I was conscious of the Jazzinc vehicle. So that is my best interpretation of it. So the price, like I said, can obviously be a big factor to people, but we're going to dive into this and go over some of the details that I personally think stand out amongst many others between these vehicles. So as I said, aside from the actual size of the physical cars, one thing that I found that was quite noticeable is actually the shape and the lines of the vehicle. Now, I know some of you are going to be watching this video and say that I'm really nitpicking, but you know what? This is my favorite car from one of my favorite IPs of all time. So yes, I am going to pick apart the small things because at the end of the day, that is what this is about, this kind of comparison, so you understand. So as I said, as you can see, the shape of the vehicles, that speaks for itself. But the things that I noticed right off the bat, like I said, are the contours and the shape of that. Not only is the Jazzinc car larger, it seems as though the actual profile of the front is more accurate, although I hate throwing that word around an awful lot, but you got to admit it is. Here is the turbine itself on the Hot Toys, which, like I said, it looks really good. Not a lot of detail towards the backside, the inside of it itself, and it is non-functional compared to the Jazzinc one, which does have a little more detailed, the hoses in the back, and it is 100% functional. The other thing that really caught my eye are these right here, kind of like the shape, what do you call it exactly, but this is like the cup piece that's underneath the actual front turbine. That is different. And also these lines here that go into the headlights, these shapes, these contoured lines, they're so radically different. It's one of those features I told you I can't unsee when I see it. With Jazzinc being a wider, more, natural shape versus the Hot Toys, it just looks off, which is quite stunning. And that's one of those features. And there's those beautiful headlights that are just sculpted really nice from Jazzinc, and then the smaller version from Hot Toys. And later on, we are going to be taking a look at the electronic side of this outside, and you'll see how both of these kind of react a little differently. Let's put it that way. Now, looking at the vehicles, we kind of just going to go over some details. Like I said, notable things that stick out. For example, here are the gun covers, putting the cars a little more side by side. But you can see like the gun covers are completely different in terms of just size. The actual mesh backing on the Jazzinc one, where Hot Toys is just basically solid plastic, just very simple. Even like the vents, just a lot of like I said, I know I'm nitpicking, but these are just fine little details that overall add up to the bigger picture. And so that is another noticeable trait that I noticed on that. And then the line work, even like here, like the little vents around the top of the turbine where Hot Toys has them just black. Jazzinc actually went and put the vents in there, which is more accurate to the movie vehicle itself. And then, like I said, looking at the tires, that is a notable standout feature in terms of the design. We'll take a look at those. And then this is just the side profile of the vehicle. So you see that big opening vent, if you want to call it, on the sides. And then the grills, just how the details they look different. And like I said, it's taking something that looks really great. And these are details, if you're going to nitpick and look at every fine tooth, you'll see. Now, another standout feature obviously is going to be the wheels, and you can see here just a completely different, very accurate to the depiction of the vehicles from Jazzinc here with the correct color tone. And then you look over at the Hot Toys, inaccurate color. Like I said, not trying to be downgrade. Tires are very simple. There's no tread patterns on them. The emblems are molded onto the hub. Here is the die-cast emblem, which we know is a work in progress that is still being fine-tuned by Jazzinc. But nevertheless, the Hot Toys just very bland and basic. No trim work on the tires, no logos, no nothing like that. Very, very simple. But like I said, you know, to be great for some. But we're going to take a look at the accessories, and here's just a couple examples. These are the actual shim breakers, and the one on the bottom, very lightweight. That's the Hot Toys one, very thin profile. Very simplistic to install, muted, like flat, you know, black paint. And then the top one is the Jazzinc, which is much thicker, heavier, has 2 metal rods to support it. And then you have that, like I said, that kind of color, you know, jumping paint where it changes color every so often when you look at it, depending on the light. And then you see the length of them are different, just everything overall. And now we're going to take a look at the display base. Now, this is the Hot Toys one. There wasn't a lot of thought put into this. It was just silver, plastic, hollow, very lightweight. And, you know, it will support the Hot Toys vehicle because it's justified, because the Hot Toys vehicle is lightweight compared to the Jazzinc one. But remember, this is supposed to replicate from Batman Returns. It's not necessarily just to be just a turntable base, but it's supposed to represent the underside of the car hitting the ground and lifting and rotating the car around so he can go in opposite direction. I think this was kind of missed and just made as a display base, and that's something that, you know, I think Jazzinc did a little bit better of a job because it's all black, so it matches the car, and it's also solid metal, so it's heavy as hell, and it's gonna, you know, it's justified to support their vehicle. And so I definitely give kudos to Jazzinc for keeping this kind of all black, because like I said, this is supposed to be a mechanism that comes out the underside of the Batmobile, versus Hot Toys, which I feel like they made it a display piece, as if it's like a display stand. And so that's something that I think was kind of lost, is that it's meant to be a mechanism of the vehicle, and so therefore Jazzinc was smart to design it that way, versus Hot Toys, it just being silver. I understand you're not really going to see it, but nevertheless, that is a detail that I wanted to make sure to check. And then real quick, just the weight. This is the Hot Toys vehicle, 17.8 pounds. And we're going to weigh the Jazzinc vehicle in a moment, so I was curious to see what the weight of that was. The weight of the Jazzinc vehicle actually, I mean, it was heavier, but this one clocks in at 33.2 pounds. And how did I come to that conclusion? I just took the display base, put it on the scale, and just put the cars on there and subtracted the weight. And now here we have the second portion of the comparison, which is taking both vehicles outside in my driveway in natural light, so you guys can really see the differences here in terms of just how impactful that size is, the paint on both vehicles, the different, you know, the line structure, everything like that. So this is just to give you, like you said, with a lot of my videos recently, I feel natural light really does expose the good and the bad, and it just shows stuff in natural, non-manipulated light, which I think is fantastic. And I think it's something that I have been adding to all of my reviews at one point or another, because you can look at stuff inside under manipulated lighting, studio lighting, kitchen lighting, but you can't fight Mother Nature. So here it is. Just kind of do some pan arounds of these vehicles, just so you can see. As I said, there's a lot of standout features to this, but it was very noticeable out in the natural light element. I think at certain angles like this right here, you get to see how muted and just flat. I don't mean that kind of literally, but the Hot Toys version is compared to the Jazzinc, which has a lot of reflectiveness due to that paint. I know a lot of people, once again, the comparisons are never going to end. The one thing about Hot Toys, I think that they will give you inaccuracy, but consistency. It is obviously a vehicle at a lower price point that is going to be mass produced compared to the Jazzinc vehicle, which is it's a very niche product. All of the products they make are, and they're going to be limited runs. So obviously limited runs, they're being, a lot of the work is done by hand. So, there might be inconsistencies between vehicles at times. I know that it's, in terms of batches and whatnot. I don't necessarily am saying that's a bad thing, but that is what makes these different is, Hot Toys is cheaper, mass produced. So therefore the consistency is going to be there, but it's going to lack the details. If you are an 89 fan and you are looking for something that represents the car to the best of its ability, so that is just kind of what you're getting from them. I think Jazzinc does the better job there of representing the 89 Batmobile as the best 6-scale version of this car on the market to date. And it's something that I just don't foresee anyone tackling in the future on a much higher produced scale. So I think that the Jazzinc is the best that we are going to get for the foreseeable future if you are an 89 or even a 92 fan. So that's just something to also take into consideration. And the final portion is going to be actually at night. And so this is actually originally the first piece of footage. I was shooting at night around 10 o'clock, freezing my ass off. But it was important because, like I said, the lighting inside, in a kitchen, in a room, in a studio, it's going to alter. But outside, you can't alter anything. So I put both vehicles next to each other. Obviously, the Batmobile from Hot Toys runs on 3 AAA batteries, whereas the Jazzinc vehicle, I ran an extension cord and plugged in. This portion is being shot from my phone, so just kind of bear with. I'm not worried about all this 4K stuff. There's all that is behind us. This is just getting us a sense of the lighting and what kind of puts out a lot in terms of which quality is better. In terms of the accuracy, the brightness. But does brightness necessarily mean that it's accurate? Just brighter lights. But there's the cockpit from a distance, and you can kind of tell which one's which, right? The Hot Toys on the left and the Jazzinc on the right, which is just unbelievably night and day different, no pun intended. But these are just some walk-around shots of the vehicles at night, so you guys can just get an idea of what they look like at night. It was around 10 o'clock when I shot this. As you can see, those details are just unmatched by Jazzinc. The differences, and it's really eye-opening because, like I said, if you have the Hot Toys one, I mean, lights are great. Like, oh, wow, things light up. That's awesome. The cockpit lights up. Great. It's cool looking lights. But then you look at Jazzinc and you're like, what is intended to be lit up? It's astonishing. It really is. It really, really, really is astonishing. But putting things in perspective, depending on your display situation, we can pick these once again, we can pick these comparisons apart all day. And then this is just showing the back turbine of the car. This is the Hot Toys version, which is very minimal, smaller. And then this is the Jazzinc. Both put out actually somewhat equal amount of light in terms of, but then the Jazzinc, obviously, come on, got the smoke effect there, which is just badass. So that just obviously brings it up a notch. I will admit, I wish that we had gotten a magnetic flame effect like the 1966 Batmobile. So when you're not using this, you could have put a flame effect, because they did show that in the movie, the flames shooting out of the back of the car, very minimal, but nevertheless they showed that. And so that would have been just another nice little touch, is if we had gotten a magnetic flame effect to put on the back of the 89 when we were not using it, because realistically, how often are we going to be using this in our displays? It's a cool looking feature, but as I said, I think a magnetic piece would have been really nice. And even for Hot Toys to do it, like I said, let's be fair. Hot Toys copy and pasted their car. There was no differences to it. People argue lights and stuff. They couldn't even put USB on their vehicle. So I'm not giving them necessarily a pass on anything either. I mean, for $715 and you couldn't make that car USB, yeah, that's a problem. You know, and so with Jazzinc giving you the remote feature and all that stuff, that's awesome. Hot Toys minimally could have updated the electronics fully, not just maybe changing the lights out, but going full with like USB power and things like that. It was a legitimate copy and paste. So that was always been a gripe of mine about the Hot Toys version compared to, you know, the previous, what they could have done. So this portion was just showing you guys the back turbines and the brake lights, just showing you the differences there between these two. And we're going to wrap up the video with the front portion so you guys can see what the front lights look like in terms of the differences and the brightness. But I want to take this moment to kind of just explain the intention. Like I said, this video isn't meant to cause any drama or any type of, agendas. I can't control what people think about this video. It's meant to just be what people want it to be, which was seeing a comparison. At the end of the day, the collectors are the ones that win because we have options. There's nothing better than having different companies fight for your wallet and fight for your business, because you get to control what you want to purchase. Jazzinc and Hot Toys are not forcing you to buy their product. You are making that decision to curate your collection how you see fit and what works within your budget and your constraints. If you are able to sacrifice between 5 to 7 pre-orders, then the Jazzinc one would be obtainable for you. If you want something to kind of equal and have balance, then the Hot Toys one would be for you, because you can buy that vehicle plus some additional things that you would want. So it's about finding balance and what's right for you, and what's right for this other collector may not work for you. But once again, I know people have been asking for this comparison. Is it the best video out there? Of course not. People are going to criticize, but you know what? Try moving these damn cars around inside, outside at night, and finding space to do this. So I did it to the best of my ability. I'm not trying to win awards for cinematography. That is not my main goal, to trick you with any type of fancy camera angles and things. I'm just showing you my genuine, honest feedback of the vehicles as they are. You know, I could have shot this 10 different ways, but the fact is I did it the way I did it because I wanted you guys to see what these vehicles will look like naturally. And so I think I presented that to the best of my ability. But at the end of the day, I think people have already made up their decision. The 89 Jazzinc car has been sold out, and you have to jump on the wait list for it. The Hot Toys Batmobile is sold out. So really at this point, the nitpicking, these vehicles are already sold out. So what is it? But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles saying take care, and I will see you guys in the next video.